Mike Douglas is Michigan's retirement coach.
And I'm Heather Branch here with Mike talking about ways to help you better prepare for your financial future. LifePlanWealth.com is where you can go to begin a conversation with Mike and his team. Of course, we also have links posted in the show notes or again, the website, LifePlanWealth.com. It is the official start of the feeding frenzy. Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Thanksgiving is here.
It's time.
All right. So why would we talk about money when we can talk about food and money?
Let's get to it right after it.
Gearing up for holiday dinner this year. There have already been all the news stories about what's costing what. Some facts about the meal. Wells Fargo says the traditional dinner will cost slightly more this year, which is the case every year. Every year I feel like it's gone up some. Turkey prices actually have gone down, but cost of other staples have gone up, like ham, potatoes, pumpkin, canned cranberries. Target, here's what I'm here for. There's a couple of stores that have done bundle packages. Target is selling a $25 Thanksgiving dinner for 4 people, and that includes a turkey, green beans, potatoes, stuffing, gravy, and cranberry sauce. There is lots to be said about the feast not just Thanksgiving, but I feel like between the mid-November to January 1,
it seems very reasonable. $25.
Yes. And every opportunity, you're just shoving something in your face and that stuff adds up. It gets more and more expensive. So the idea, there's a couple of things that we have to consider here in the space that you work in, helping folks figure out their retirement savings and how to factor this all in, because one, keeping up with inflation and how much things are going to cost 20 to 30 years from now, not just the food, but the gas to get you to grandma and grandpa's house. But 2, thinking about the financial feast that we can prepare for as we approach for retirement. What is the entree? What are the sides? What do we need to consider and factor into our plan?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like any big feast that you go to, there's always the primary thing that comes in. And in my family, it's turkey for Thanksgiving and ham for Christmas. Like, those are our 2 big ones. And so the turkey is the show. It's the celebrated thing on the Thursday football. They're going to have the turkey on the field. They're going to have all that stuff. Yeah. Well, in a financial plan, your portfolio, that is the turkey. It's the big thing that everything revolves around. You've worked for years to save and build this nest egg to where it is the primary thing that you live off of, and it's the greatest opportunity you have. So using that is the main thing, making sure your portfolio is structured properly, well diversified, and that it actually is truly diversified. A lot of times people think that they have a diversified portfolio because they have a bunch of different funds. But then when we dig down deep inside of them, we find out that the different funds all hold the same stocks, right? So it's like, I have 20 funds, but out of the 20 funds, they hold the same top 10 positions. So you're not actually that diversified. And so making sure that you have a well-rounded turkey, a well-rounded portfolio that is built the proper way and it's built to last and to give you everything you need. It's like having a good quality entree turkey. And then comes the fun and the creativity, which is the sides.
Okay.
Right? Everybody has different sides. I know it's interesting how mac and cheese has become I don't remember ever mac and cheese in my house being a Thanksgiving thing.
That was more of a Christmas thing with the ham in my house.
Yeah, and it's something that we eat on the regular, so it's less exciting.
Got it.
Versus stuffing cranberry sauce. My mother-in-law makes a wonderful real cranberry sauce, which is really, really good.
Thumbs down. Canned cranberry sauce is the only cranberry sauce allowed on my Thanksgiving table.
If it comes out in the shape that it was in the can.
Then that's exactly how it's supposed to be in life. I will fight you. I will fight
fresh.
you.
It ain't fresh.
It is as fresh as it needs to be.
My wife makes killer stuffing. It is out of sight. And every year, here's what happens. We have it for Thanksgiving, and I'm like, Kimberly, this is so good. You should make this more often. And then we'll eat it like 2 or 3 more times before New Year's. Never again until the next Thanksgiving.
It's special.
Same thing with chili. When we do a chili cook-off with our church or friends, we'll do it. And I'm like, man, we should make chili all the time. Next chili cook-off is the next time we dig that recipe back out. But for the financial side, the sides are things like Social Security planning, making sure my income sources come in from different places, making sure my taxes are built out the right way. Because we talk about diversification in our portfolio, but the way you take money out of the portfolio is oftentimes a giant determinant on how much you pay in taxes. If I pull from one account versus the other, I'll be taxed differently. The way I invest, maybe I should have some long-term positions in my portfolio and then sell them later after a year has passed and potentially get a lower tax rate on that income. So you can use taxes as a strategy, not as a liability. We always think of taxes as this boogeyman. It's this awful thing, but it is a great opportunity in retirement to work with a solid financial advisor who can build a good tax strategy moving forward. And that's a killer side piece, because you're going through and saying, I know I've got my portfolio, but if I pull from my Roth versus my IRA versus a non-qualified, there's different rules and implications on all of them. So really having a good tax strategy. Estate planning is another huge one. And before I go to estate planning, I know this is a lot of stuff and we're kind of ripping through quite a few things quickly, but it's all part of a whole meal, a balanced financial feast that we're talking about. And it's not from just talking about one thing. Because if you showed up at Thanksgiving and there's just turkey, you'd say, where's all the other stuff,
Where's my canned cranberry sauce?
Yeah, exactly. And then you go through it and you say, well, where's all the rest? But a lot of times when we go and talk about investments, we talk about turkey. We don't talk about anything else. And it's a conversation that comes from a holistic financial planning approach. So our website, lifeplanwealth.com, there's a button on there that says start your retirement roadmap today. Although maybe we should change it to start planning your financial feast today. That's a pretty cool plan. That might spark some more questions. But click on that button and we'll have conversations. We'll talk about it and say, what do you want your life to look like? Because depending on what you want your life to look like determines what things we need to prepare. And so it's kind of one of those things, well, depending on what fits your appetite will determine what gets cooked.
Okay.
And so click that button on lifeplanwealth.com and we'll have those conversations and see what you really are looking for. But yeah, so going back to the sides, the estate planning.
Yeah.
Estate planning it's something that oftentimes it's the most put off thing. Yeah. The reason being, one, it means we're talking about our death, and nobody likes to do that. It also talks about taxes and things we feel like we can't control. Nobody likes to do that. And then the third thing is we have to pay money to a lawyer to do it. And we don't want to do that either, right? We're scared of calling lawyers because it's billable hours, and we're afraid of what they're going to tell us and that they're going to keep running up the meter. And so there's a fear of it, even though most estate planning attorneys we talk to, they're wonderful people who are looking to help people. And really, it's not an hourly rate. It's a package deal. You pay X amount for your will and trust be put together, and that's it. And it's pretty good. So having that estate plan to make sure that you're not paying voluntary taxes and fees. Well, Mike, I would never pay a voluntary tax or fee. Well, you are if you choose not to take care of your estate against probate. If you choose not to protect your estate against things, you say, I don't want to spend $5,000 on a will or trust, but as a result, a giant portion of your estate goes through probate and $30,000 goes to the courts. We don't want to do that either. So let's make those plans as part of it. So taxes, income planning, Social Security, estate planning, long-term care and health planning. That's another tough one. And really, we hear most from clients about those after they've been through a pretty gnarly situation with it, right? I mean, someone goes into a nursing facility and a bunch of the money gets taken and they have to take forever to qualify. And then they're mad because they didn't qualify for Medicaid, but they had just enough assets to really eat it up. Yeah. It's a tough situation. And in the midst of all that, our loved one is going into a home. And we really struggle with that too. There's guilt, there's frustration, there's a lot that goes into it. So having those conversations, number one, before you need them. It's like coaching a basketball team before the game starts rather than we're in the middle of the game and this stuff starts happening and we don't know why. So we're frustrated. No, make the plans before we step on the court. Make plans before we ever get in the situation. So that way it's set up and it's ready to go. So those are all the different pieces, and there's still more, but those are the big ones that we want to make sure they're built out properly.
All right, so let's recap then. In the financial feast of life for our retirement years, our entree, that's our portfolio. That's all of our money, pulling it all together, all of those investments. And then everything else that we need to factor out, Social Security, income, taxes, estate planning, long-term care. And the thing that's important to remember and to consider is that, as you were saying, the sides, they're different for everybody. So somebody might not need long-term care. Maybe they have enough to self-fund or they have something else going on. Some people might need different withdrawal strategies to ensure that their income and their taxation doesn't, they're not double downing on things. So that's what I think is the most important part. I mean, even if you have some of these things figured out, do you have them figured out according to you and what you need? Right.
And I think that, like so many things, this is actually a great analogy. The deeper we get into it, the more I like it, because the things we expect on Thanksgiving are based on the things we're raised eating. So I grew up on the East Coast a little bit. So I was born in Delaware. Then the military brought us to Indiana, then to Michigan. But I still would go back out every Christmas to go visit my grandparents and cousins in Delaware and Maryland. And something they eat out there a lot is succotash, lima beans, peas, corn, and this kind of unique blend. And nobody eats it out here very much. We had a corn pudding that we'll do quite a bit of. We had this thing called scrapple, which is, you don't want to know what it is, but it's part of a pig that they turn into these meat blocks and you grill it. It's a delicious, spicy breakfast meat that my wife wants nothing to do with, and she's poisoned my kids' brains against it, so now they won't eat it, even though it's good. But there are things that we grow up with, and as a result, there's things we sentimentally or actually just taste, and like we want those tastes in our life, and we want that to be part of our future. Well, financially, there are things that we see and grow up with. If your parents raised you a certain way, if you've watched your grandparents go through certain situations, if you've been through things in the past, it shapes what you want to experience or not experience in the future. So if you've watched someone's estate fall apart because they didn't have a goodwill and trust put together and family members fought and then there's court and division and people don't talk to each other anymore, you say, there's no way I'm letting my family go through that because of what I've seen on the other side. On the other hand, if you've had someone, and we always joke that with my dad's family, they settled the estate via email because everybody just got along. They were ministers. They didn't really have a whole lot at death. And they said, we're just going to divide it up. Everybody chips in and pays their cost. And it was a very wonderful experience. But in terms of how a family can settle an estate, it was as good as it could go. Just email this, we all chip in and do our part. And that's pretty cool. And so it can really shape the way you see estate planning. So that's a lot of the same way. The things that we grow up wanting to eat, things we grow up experiencing and that our families bring to us are the things we tend to bring to our family. You say, well, it's not a Christmas dinner unless you have X, right? What is the dessert? My mom makes this thing called pretzel salad that it was never around my wife's family. It's super good. Do you know what it is? Have you ever had it?
Is it got Jell-O? Is it a Jell-O thing?
Strawberries. Yep. Jell-O, whipped cream, right? My wife's family had never had that. She comes to, I think it was Thanksgiving or Christmas with my family for the first time. She eats that, and all of a sudden now we eat it at everything her family ever does.
Oh, really? Huh? Yeah. So she took to it. Okay.
We elevated her family to our level of holiday desserts. And it's outstanding, right? So it's interesting how we can bring these influences into our future, but really it's about what makes most sense for your family. And it's not across the board, right? Like to say, well, then nobody should have mac and cheese at Thanksgiving. Hold on. Right? Like that's not how life works.
Right.
That's not how finances work. It's what makes the most sense for you and yours, and building it out so you live out the life you've always wanted to live.
And in the meantime, lots of happy, healthy holiday meals with your family for all the years ahead with what's the pig thing? That your wife won't eat? Scrapple. With hopefully lots of scrapple and succotash and pretzel salad in your future.
Eating them all by myself.
Right? You're on an island, Mike Douglas.
Me and Celine Dion all by ourselves. Just out there eating our breakfast by ourselves. Just joining my kids over there judging me. That's fine.
LifePlanWealth.com is where you can go to begin the conversation with Mike and his team, figuring out your own financial feast, your retirement plan for all the years ahead, whether you're getting close to retirement or you're already retired. Mike and his team at Life Plan Financial Design can help you create the full menu for what you need in the years ahead. And you can begin that conversation right now. Again, we also have links posted in the show notes. You can just click there as well, or just visit us anytime at lifeplanwealth.com.
Thanks for listening to Michigan's Retirement Coach with Mike Douglas. To learn more, visit lifeplanwealth.com.
Michael Douglas is an investment advisor representative of Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Michael Douglas is licensed in your state, please call 517-323-7526. Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Michael B. Douglas, NPN number 9650939.